Hello, I'm Peter Rix. I'm really pleased that you've selected my novel Water Under Water as your book of the month for your book club. I'd also really welcome the opportunity to come and talk to you about the book. The first thing that readers have talked about to me is the character of Tom Campion, the young boy. He's an adventurer, a comedian. He's full of himself, a real smart ass in fact, but also painfully vulnerable. The sort of kid that'd drive you crazy, if only because you're never sure whether you should be laughing with him or grieving for him. He's Down syndrome, so there's no doubt some people will see him as a victim, but to me he's the exact opposite. He's a hero in the classical mould. In fact, the only thing that could bring him undone is the very characteristic that makes him a hero in the first place. Tom's father is the villain in the piece for sure. He gets it wrong most of the way. But I hope he's also understandable. He was one of those people who were born lucky. A nice family, well-educated, private school, university, lovely wife, good career, a life full of expectations. And then along comes a child like Tom. And that creates conflict also between he and his wife. Fran, Tom's mother, she sees Tom not as a category and certainly not as a problem, but very much as his own person. In fact, she says, "I've never met anybody who is as much his own person as Tom." For Jim, though, his perspective is that for a mother to love a child is one thing. The child is from them, is of them. But a father lacks that unity and so needs to find something else, something of himself, some recognition to allow the love to come through. Yes, I've been asked a lot about the title, Water Under Water, Water Underwater. There's certainly potential for ambiguity there. And the phrase pops up in several scenes through the book, each time in a different context, and each time inviting perhaps a different meaning to the phrase. To me, ultimately, water under water is a place that many of us have to contemplate at some stage in our lives. We're strangers there. It's a place of uncertainty and doubt, perhaps even fear, but also with the potential for discovery, for new understanding, or even for renewal. Jim and Tom, both of them are of water. Jim has been a surfer all his life, is as happy under the water as above it. But to him also, the water underwater can be a dark place, where the creatures of the night sea lurk, waiting to take him, to drag him down. Tom, the son, his Down syndrome body not so good for running or ball games, but in the water he becomes loose-limbed and graceful, almost a sea creature himself. And he's happy to stay in the water underwater for as long as he needs to, as long as his dad stays there with him. So ultimately the water underwater perhaps is the place where there is the potential for the father to find his son, as long as he doesn't leave it too late.